All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for coming over to the DFS 5-Pack. I'm your host, Ryan Kostrowski, here with my partner in crime, Matt Bellman. Hopefully everybody had a lovely weekend, whether it was DFS, just watching these great NBA games, or had fun with family or friends, whatever. Hope it was awesome.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on this weekend, and as always, a brand new week with a lot of DFS.
Always. We got double sports again, guys. Daily passes, monthly, annual, lifetime, covers both NBA and MLB right now, so get in if you want to. Much love to Xander Bogaerts yesterday, the late Grand Slam. I know it helped me. I'm sure it helped a lot of other people.
I will say definitely no love to Xander Bogaerts. It took about $6,000 out of my pocket.
Okay, well, that sucks. I would say that is one of the things, though, that is fun about MLB DFS is you feel like you're never really out of it. You know, if your lineup's got all zeros, yeah, sure, a late Grand Slam won't help. But, man, you can come from behind with, like, one swing of the bat, which makes it fun.
Yeah, depending on which side you were on. Last night was not fun for me, but that's part of the game.
Right, but you've been on the other side of it, right, where it is a good time.
For sure. I was just more upset that I used Chris Davis everywhere, and he left early. So I was sitting in second in a tournament on FanDuel and, top 10 on DK, and then once the Bogaerts home run hit, let's just say I had no love for him today.
Okay, fair enough. I understand you're on the other side of it. That would not be a good time for you. I was more speaking in general about one of my favorite things about MLB DFS is the late push can make you a winner.
Sure. Well, it's both sides of the coin, right? So we talk about it. I'm glad we both kind of felt it. So I know that a bunch of people in our groups got hurt by it. Whoever used Red Sox, I mean, you gotta have those days. And the White Sox bullpen just fell apart.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of it. Y'all been on both sides of it. It sucks when you're on the wrong side of it, no doubt about it. All right, guys, daily passes again are up. Go through the website. Lifetime, monthly, whatever you guys want is there for you. If you're new to the station, guys, the easiest way to get new videos is to hit that red button that says subscribe. Thumbs up, always appreciated. Thank you to that, you guys who do that every day. Now, you wanted to talk about Blake Snell, and we'll kind of take this as more of an informal conversation to talk about the ups and downs of this one. We're both of the mindset that Blake Snell, last year, wasn't a fluke. You knew it was coming. I mean, this guy was highly respected. You knew he'd be good. We don't take anything about last year as a fluke. You like him a lot better today coming back to home, huh?
I do. I like him coming back home. I like this spot for him. And I'm just, as you know, a big believer in his talents, as I know you are too. I'm not sure why he hasn't pitched for all the past 2 games. And quite honestly, my biggest worry about it is that I haven't really been able to see it. But from everything I've read and heard, all the underlying metrics and numbers are the exact same. And there's really nothing to worry about here. Now, I wish I had seen more of it with my own eyes, but I'm a big believer in Snell. I like this spot for him. He doesn't have any platoon splits. He's good against righties. He's good against lefties. I really like him today. I love the price tag, and I'm not sure people stay off of him because he hasn't been good, because people really like him around the industry, but there's just quite a few good options here. So what's your take?
My biggest concern with him is he broke a toe, missed a start on the DL, came back and has been hit hard in both games since then. He's given up a lot of DK points. I don't know. Again, I didn't get an opportunity to watch a lot of these starts, so I can't say that I saw it. Is it in his mind? Because sometimes an injury may not really be affecting what you're doing, but it becomes more mental than anything. So I don't have a great answer for you because, I'm not in Blake Snell's mind. I can't tell you what's going on. Did he just run into some bad luck? I forget who it was. One of the chalk, I can't think of his name, one of the chalk starting pitchers from yesterday. Who's the guy from Kansas City? Detroit, Turnbull.
Oh, Turnbull, yeah.
Turnbull almost got lucked out of the second inning. Now, he recouped nicely and had a really good day, but that's what we talk about with baseball all the time. Turnbull gave up a couple of, 3 straight seeing eye hits. And, if all of a sudden he misses. What's that?
Wasn't able to see. I had to take my wife somewhere, and I was looking at watching the game go on my phone, and I saw 3 straight singles. So those were all seeing eye singles.
Well, the double, both outfielders thought the other one was going to get it and then drop it between them, and then he a looper right over the second baseman's head, and then a seeing eye ground ball. If all of a sudden he misses on one pitch right there and gives up a home run, you're like, oh, it was a bad start, but it wasn't a bad start. He just got bad luck, and that happens to all of us repeatedly. So I can't tell you what's going on with Blake Snell. I love the idea of the bounce back start. I'm not sure I'll end up here. I'm a little bit confused on what to think of him. So that's why I kind of wanted to talk him out for the public today.
Yeah, agreed. So I think we'll be able to talk a lot more in depth about Blake Snell once we talk about other pitchers on this slate, which we'll do on members only, because that is the biggest reason not to go to Blake Snell, right? Is that there's just at least 3 other aces on the slate. So he's not like an absolute must. I like the idea of going to him in GPPs because maybe people are scared of him.
Right. He's been bad.
I'll say this, regardless of what because we don't, neither of us seem to have like a clear read on exactly why he wasn't good the last 2 starts, but we both agree that his upside is still amazing here.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about him up until a couple of starts ago. Is he now the best pitcher in baseball? Because it's worth arguing about. I think it's a little early to say that based off of 1 season and a couple of good starts this year, but we're big fans of this guy. So if he, tosses up 35 today, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
And I will say, like, just as a kind of human element, just to kind of, talk a little bit about the pick and how it came about. So I liked Blake Snell, but for some reason I was having a mental block and was thinking that, it was an AL team going to the NL. So like Arizona was losing a DH, but Arizona already has a DH. And when you asked me for reasons of why I wanted to talk out Snell, I typed out Arizona changing leagues, and it was almost like a mental block. And then I realized that that's not the case. So that, makes me like Snell a little bit less, that Arizona is coming over with a DH.
It is something to think about. All right, guys. So because there's a lot of really good high-priced pitchers on the slate, not only do I know Matt wants to take a look at 2 high-priced pitchers, I'm considering it, and I'm sure most of you guys are thinking it over. We wanted to bring up a couple of lower-dollar guys today, and we'll start with Marwin Gonzalez, who is only 3,100. Again, this isn't because we love Marwin today, but if you want some elite pitchers, how good is it to get a guy who's 3,100? That's close to the middle of the lineup. He has dual eligibility. And most importantly, he started off the year poorly, but he's now 7 for his past 16.
Yeah, I watched a couple of his at-bats yesterday. He had a really long at-bat in the 8th inning against yesterday's game against Chapman. It was pouring rain. They brought Chapman in just to face him. He worked the count really good. He ended up striking out, but it was a full count. He saw like 8 pitches in the at-bat. I like the way he's seeing the ball right now. He's only 3,100. Again, I'll reiterate, we don't love Marwin Gonzalez. I just really like the price tag, and paying up for 2 stud pitchers is viable here.
Right, and we know Marwin is better than the 557 OPS on the year. We've talked about this to an extent. Like, we're not that far into the season. I get it that we're now coming up on, we're approaching like the 20% mark. But again, you can have a rough 20% of a season and still have good numbers at the end of the year. And while Marwin's not an elite hitter, he is a very serviceable hitter who will continue to get better. On another thing, just you were talking about this earlier. Like, Minnesota's a good offense too.
I was going to say there's a difference between paying for like Marwin Gonzalez here at 3,100 and like Brian Anderson and a really shitty Miami offense at the same price. Like, whatever you think about the hitters, Marwin is just in a much better lineup.
It's so much easier to have a sacrifice fly and then walk and score a run in a good offense than it is for the Marlins, who average -4 runs per game.
And what did you just talk about at the beginning of the show, or a couple minutes ago, about pitchers making a mistake? It's much more likely for Marwin to come up with a couple guys on than it is for guys in shitty offenses. It's just stuff you got to think about.
All right, next up. So hear me out on this one, guys, and I'm sure I can get you on board. You probably weren't looking at Christian Yelich, were you?
Yelich is almost like Trout, and like you could use him any day. So no, I wasn't like specifically looking at him, but I'm not like, I'm happy you're bringing him up here.
Okay, so this is a GPP only play again, guys. If you're playing cash lineups, you don't want to go after a guy as good as he is against a pitcher like Max Scherzer. So, knock on Max, he has not been himself this year 100%. He's given up multiple runs.
Especially against lefties.
Yeah, he's given up multiple.
Sorry to interrupt. I was saying especially against lefties.
Yep. He's given up multiple runs in every start this year but one, which is very un-Max Scherzer-like. Now, do I think he'll get it together by year's end? Of course I do. I'm a big Max Scherzer fan. But early on this year, he hasn't been the same dominant guy who's not giving up runs. Yelich has, I believe, 14 home runs at home this year. He's absolutely killing the ball in Miller Park, or just basically every time he gets up, you kind of almost feel like he's going to hit a home run. There's a reason he's got 15 of them on the year, despite missing almost a week now with back soreness. So he pinch hit on Saturday night, and then he came back yesterday for his first start in ever. He lined out in 2 pitches his first 2 at-bats. So while he looks like he's 1 for 5, he's hit the ball hard multiple times. He hit his longest home run of the year yesterday. And then we get into the experience against Max Scherzer. Like, you don't think a guy like Christian Yelich gets up to face one of the best in the league. He faced Max Scherzer a bunch. And this is back in the days when he played for Miami. And Scherzer was pitching well, and he wasn't as good. 10 of 26 with a double, a triple, 3 home runs, and 2 stolen bases against Max Scherzer. He's been really good against him. And because of the high salary in the elite pitchers, it's one of the rare days you can get Christian Yelich at what, 5% maybe, if not less?
I think we'll come in around 5 to 10% because he's just really good, and people will see those numbers. And Scherzer hasn't been as good. That's still really low ownership. Don't get me wrong, and I still really like to play with Scherzer. I'm not sure how popular Scherzer is going to be on this slate, which is something that I can't wait to talk to you about on members only. But I mean, I can get on board with everything about this Yelich call here.
Yeah, and he's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, he's really freaking good.
All right, your boy Matty C.
So another guy, again, want to kind of hammer home the point that I like elite pitching here. There's a couple guys up top you can take a look at. Carpenter leads off for a really good Cardinals lineup. He's under 4K. He's got dual position eligibility. He's not having a great year, but you just talked about it, like with Marwin Gonzalez. We know who Matt Carpenter is. And matter of fact, he went through kind of the same thing last year. It was awful at the beginning of the year. Then went on a tear. He was one of the best hitters in the game. I'm not saying that's going to start tonight, but he does have 5 hits over his past 2 games. Maybe starting to get going a little bit. I like this lineup, especially after getting swept by the Cubs. I mean, all the points I didn't even tell you are what I'm thinking here.
Okay, so just a complete side note, which almost isn't DFS related. Well, maybe a little bit. Like, people have a tendency, recency bias, to freak out in sports. And the Cubs were awful to start the year. The Brewers were good. Then the Brewers were floundering. And now the Cubs have been awesome lately, and the Brewers are playing well, and St. Louis has just kind of been there all season long. Ultimately, all 3 teams that we expected to be at top of the Central are all within a couple of games of each other right now. There is an ebb and flow to sports. It goes up and down. Like, just because maybe I don't know, Kawhi Leonard has a bad game sometime doesn't mean he sucks all of a sudden. Sports have ways of going ups and downs, and now we're seeing it right here. Matt Carpenter wasn't great to start the year, but now he's kind of breaking out of it. We're seeing things come to fruition. This is going to be a good division, and this is a pretty good hitter against a guy like Vince Velasquez, who also reminded us last time out that he can be hit.
Yeah, and this is not like a new thing in baseball, right? Where some guys just start out slow and then get progressively better. It's a weather thing. It's a mental thing, whatever it is. I mean,
timing.
It happens with a lot of guys. Some are more pronounced than others. Carpenter seems to be one of those guys. And again, if he was 4,800 here, I probably wouldn't be looking to go here. But under 4K for a leadoff hitter in a good lineup is a good value.
Speaking of guys likely batting leadoff today, again, it's possible he's not in there, but Daniel Descalso has been a little bit banged up the last couple of days. It sounds like he was okay to pinch hit yesterday, but still wasn't ready to play. I'm imagining that Chicago will probably give Zobrist another shot in the lineup today. He hasn't been playing as much lately because Bodie's been playing so well, but he still gets in there at least every other day, and I'm just guessing he'll be in there today.
This is a wild card, but I was actually seeing, and obviously I like Zobrist, I was seeing Schwarber projected as a leadoff hitter a couple of spots, and I had no idea why, but now it makes sense.
It's possible. I can see that. Zobrist, again, it's all about the value right here. The Cubs are the hottest team in baseball right now, and they're reminding us that offense over there is pretty good. Wilson Contreras having a major bounce back year. Chris Bryant with a home run last night looks like he's finally getting it going. Rizzo's been better. Baez continues to be like borderline MVP candidate. We're watching the Cubs offense right now play really, really well, and they get one of the few weaker pitchers on the slate tonight. You've already addressed the situation that there is a lot of value, a lot of good pitching up top today, which means there's not going to be a lot of pitchers that you quote unquote want to pick on. Hottest offense in baseball going up against one of the weaker pitchers on the slate. I want to try to get some exposure. And even if Zobrist doesn't make the lineup, I want to try to squeeze some Chicago Cubs into my lineup.
I'm pretty sure I stacked Cubs when they were in Miami, in the same spot a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, of course I have interest here and going right back there. Now the Cubs are hot at home. So, yes, please.
All right, guys. That's what we got for today. Members only will come out a little bit later. Get your day passes if you're interested. Outside of that, best of luck tonight in both of your sports. And we'll see you guys a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.